What is good? We're back. And today we're going to take you through our favorite click in every round, basically in startups, who our favorite players to draft in those rounds are. We're going to go round by round. We're going to at least probably get you to, maybe round 8 or so here through some of our favorite players through each round. We've got a new ADP, Superflex tight end premium for this month. So that's what this is going to be kind of based off of. That's going to be the genesis of this. But make sure you head over to the FFDynasty.com, check out the crowdsource rankings, check out all the ADP, all sorts of great stuff over there. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Personal rankings are super cool. So lots of good stuff over there. Check it out. But today we got our favorite must click in every round. We're going to go person by person in each round here and kind of give our thoughts. So just running through the first 2 rounds, because we decided that, hey, we'll kind of punt those since, I don't think you can necessarily go wrong in there. But as the host, as just kind of navigating through the 109, the 110, Lamar Jackson and Caleb Williams, those would probably be my favorite clicks right there in the first round. If you could stomach trading back in the first round, I think there's a lot of value to be had right now in startups. Shout out to Big Co on that one. And then in the second round, I love the Patrick Mahomes kind of at the 210 right here. He's definitely a click that I like to make at that point. Being able to get that guy at that area is something that I really enjoy. But again, these first 2 rounds, it's pretty hard to go wrong who you're clicking. But as you're going through these first 2 rounds, I know I mentioned quarterbacks. Those usually aren't my top clicks. Maybe I'll do one. But how you go through these rounds and what's available to you can certainly determine, how the rest of your draft kind of goes. And there's a lot of different approaches you can take. Of course, you can just go best player available and worry about things later. You can kind of have a system. I've been liking a little bit more of kind of running back heavier earlier with maybe a hammer at the quarterback and wide receiver and or tight end position. And then, trying to get a couple running backs early and then fill in the wide receivers on the back end. But, like I said, what's available on the board can start to determine kind of how the rest of your roster construction goes in. You can have a plan to start, but it might have to edit as soon as the ball gets rolling. And that's just kind of how it is. So without further ado, let's jump into the third round. Jeremiah, who is your favorite player to select, the must draft player in the third round right now in the FFD Superflex tight end premium ADP?
Hey, you were asking me?
You.
Okay.
You with the face.
Yep. Hey, look, early determines late, as you were saying, Casey. So those first 2 rounds, whatever you do, you double tap running back. It can inform later what you do. Go heavy at quarterback. That all filters down to what you're doing. For me, though, my favorite pick in round 3, especially when you consider the third round reversal, double tapping, and part of the strategery is double tapping running back, and I've done it. You go Ashton Janty and Jeremiah Love. You yank the steering wheel on the draft, and you say, hey, you know what? I'll fill in quarterback. That'll inform me for later, double tapping running back. And what ends up happening when you're at that turn, you get that opportunity for that 3-1. And Jalen Hurts, anytime Jalen Hurts goes into round 3, if it's 301, 302, 303, anywhere, it's a crime. And you need to take advantage. And it's an auto pick for me. So Jalen Hurts is my favorite. He's early in round 3, but that's because he shouldn't be. He should still be a fixture in round 2 at the least. You can make an argument for round 1, but fine. There's lots of seats for chairs or players for chairs, right? So 3-1, absolutely. So the structure of your build, I can get somebody who's most likely going to be a top 5 quarterback, and in a down year last year was quarterback 8. Sign me up. You've got finishes, fantasy points per game, 2021 through 2025, 6, 1, 2, 6. Last year, a down year at 19.1 fantasy points per game. 8th. Rushing, it's a staple. It's there. 2nd in design runs per game last year. 2nd in red zone carries per game. 8 rushing touchdowns. Was 4th. He's always going to hover in that range and threaten for double digits. So the rushing is there. The passing is good enough. And you're talking about a guy who, at worst, is a middling quarterback 1, and I can get him at the beginning of round 3 every single time. I know things have changed with A.J. Brown. Stylistically, I would like to see more aggression in the running game because Hurts is not fast enough to decide at the last minute he's going to rush. Part of it is the aggression in RPO, and I'm going to decide and go. He needs to bring a little bit of that back to his game. Maybe we'll see that with the post AJ Brown era. So for me, best click is Jalen Hurts anywhere in round 3. Fellows, what do you think?
I got him written down. You know, I've got a bunch of names written through 8 rounds or so, but Hurts is at the top of my 3rd round list there. So I'm completely on board with you, which is some of the reason why I don't like to necessarily go double tap quarterback early, right, in the first 2 rounds. Like you said, if you came in with Genty and Love or whatever, you were able to on the turn at 1-2, and then you came in with Hurts. That's a really fun start. I would say the other ones for me are the tight ends. It's Loveland and Warren. It's tight end premium here, and those are guys that I usually don't like to get out of the 3rd round without. But I think in the 4th round, there is somebody who's going to be somebody else's favorite click that if you missed, you can kind of make up for there. So I would say Loveland and Warren, the tight ends in the 3rd round. I would like to get a hammer to start with there if I missed on McBride or Bowers or wasn't in range to get him or whatever. Those guys are kind of my fail safe to get a yellow box on the sleeper app early in tight end premium. I don't mind that at all. Chev, who do you like?
I feel like a broken record because all offseason last year, I was talking about Tucker Kraft, and unfortunately, we only got a half of a season basically of the breakout, it happening, him being number 1 in yards per game, weeks 1 through 8 when the injury happened. And now we get, I've said this, I believe that Colston Loveland, I believe that Tyler Warren, and I believe that Tucker Kraft all belong in the same tier. Well, you can get him later than you can get all the other names. So if I do miss on a Colston Loveland, if I do miss on a Tyler Warren, I can wait around. And Tucker Kraft's right there. So 16 points a game in half-point tight end premium, basically before the injury, number 1 in yards per game, 2.71 yards per route run. Everything that we wanted was happening, and he had they had consolidated and committed to throwing the ball to Tucker Kraft. 30 receptions on 39 targets, 5.6 targets a game, basically. And I just think that there's just no way that they don't come back to it and be like, well, this was when our offense absolutely looked the best. So we should probably do something different, because the offense, once Tucker Kraft was out, didn't look the same. Now, couple that with the Josh Jacobs injury and all, what have you. But Tucker Kraft is absolutely one of my favorite clicks because we still don't have to pay the elite tight end prices and we get the elite tight end production. So is he trending towards that if he's healthy from the ACL? Absolutely. They've only subtracted. They're going to have one of the top vacated target numbers in the league with the departures of Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks in free agency and trades. So the basically 18% target share that he had last year could go up to 22 or 23. If he gets actual volume, now we're talking about him being the actual tight end 1 or in the same tier with Brock Bowers and Trey McBride, which is where I thought he would have been at the end of the last season if he would be healthy. So I'm curious to get people's thoughts. Like I said, I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but it's still true and you can still get value. And I mean, it's hard to get them from somebody who has Tucker Kraft already because most of the time they know what it is. And you just want to, it's very difficult. You've got to pay the premium price, but the price of the brick's still going up. So, yeah, this is one of my favorite clicks. Easy access point where you don't have to miss out on quarterback or any sliding early round value.
Yeah, so Chev shifted into the 4th round there on his favorite click in the 4th. With
412.
At 412, so he's almost in the 5th. So like I said, if you miss, we had Hurts, he's at 301, Loveland's at 303, Warren was at 311. So those were kind of some favorites in there. If you miss, then you have a backstop in somebody like Kraft to get yourself potential elite tight end production, which I love. I also have him written down kind of in the 4th round there. I think grabbing any Packers right now I think is a good idea because we don't necessarily, nobody could sit here with a straight face and tell you for sure in the receiver room, but I think I can sit here and basically tell you for sure that Kraft is going to have a big role and a big target threshold and a big red zone conglomerate here. So you got to feel really safe. I'm fine with also clicking a lot of the buttons for the Packers later because we don't know and they're cheaper. But I love this pick in the 4th round. a must draft. Tucker Kraft in the fourth. I like that a good bit. We interrupt this episode to tell you about Prize Picks, which I don't think you need us to tell you at this point. If you don't know about Prize Picks, you're probably living under a rock, but we've partnered up with them. We're super excited about it. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is really easy. Just pick more or less on a few stats and lock in your lineup. Prize Picks is available in most states, but not limited to California, Texas, and Florida. I know in beautiful, sunny South Carolina, very much in play here. So make sure check your area and then go download Prize Picks. Download the app, enter promo code HMA. New users get $50 in lineups instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. So we've got a lineup here tonight. We went with 4 and we used the flex play option. So if we miss one, we still get to cash at the end of it. Today we're back on the baseball streets. We've got Luis Arraez. Probably messed that up. He plays for the San Francisco Giants. He's been slapping it around real well right now. So we took the more on him to get a half a hit. So he's just got to get one hit there. Then we went Bobby Witt Jr. He's been a staple in these plays. He's been great. We went more than 0.5 on the hits for him. And then we took Emmett Sheehan facing off against the Diamondbacks, and we went more than 4.5 Ks. And then last but not least, we took Sandy Alcantara. Sorry about that. Probably really botched that one. But he was on the mound for the Marlins, or the Fish, as they're referred to, against the Nationals. And we went more than 2.5 Ks on that one. So a little gimme there. I like that. So we'll see how that lineup ends up. Again, we picked 4, but we used the flex play. So you only have to hit 3 and you can still cash on that one. So it's that easy, guys. Make sure you download the app. Use promo code HMA. New users, $50 lineups instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, FF Dynasty, out. 2 other guys I had written down here are just kind of, this is where I would go, if I missed out on bell cows, there's a chance that you can still get yourself a Kenneth Walker or like a Breece Hall in this range. 4.7 for Kenny Walker, 4.05 for Breece Hall. If you missed up there or you wanted to add one more before you, because they dry up quick after we get out of a range or two, another round or two, things get awful dicey from the running back perspective.
Yeah.
But
it's no longer moist. It's just way too dry.
That's right. So 405 and 407, you got Kenny Walker and Breece Hall. I like those clicks. How about you, Jeremiah?
Hey, and it's funny enough, on Tucker Kraft, all his efficiency stats, targets per route run, the yards per target, anything that's efficiency, it was always he mirrors somebody like George Kittle. And then you see what Loveland did, and then you're sitting there, who does he think he is? Tucker Kraft. So great call, Chev, on Tucker Kraft. When you look at efficiency stats, Loveland, Kraft, hey, it's very ideal, and you're getting that arbitrage. I really like Casey Carnell Tate, who was another one of Chev's favorites. I know you love Tate, and you must have been torn a little bit too, Chev, on Carnell Tate. But we're looking at 130 targets, backing in. Can we get 10 targets guaranteed? And the cool thing between Tyson and Tate is the fact that who's going to drop back and be in throw more? Who's going to have maybe 5 more pass attempts per game because they're more of a gunslinger and thrower of the football? It's going to be Cam Ward versus Tyler Shuck, who can pull down and run. So even down to that finite amount, and you don't have the injury issue with Jordan Tyson. So I'm very high on Carnell Tate, and he's back-end wide receiver 1 rank for me overall in Dynasty. Year 1, we're not wasting time. So I love at 403 going Carnell Tate. If you built in other positions, go Tate.
I like it. All right, coming in the 5th round here. A lot of fun options here. I could have gone with Cam Ward if you're hunting a quarterback here a little bit. I think there's going to be improvement there. Judkins is pretty fun. Luther was my guy in last year's sort of rookie wide receiver rankings there. Loved him, and you're seeing him at 502. But I'm going to stick with the OG in the Bears offense. I'm going Roman Dunze as one of my favorite clicks there because he goes a little later than Luther Burden. You can usually find him kind of hanging around mid to late 5th. Right now he's at 507. And you mentioned, Chev, you sounded like a broken record, but that's kind of what it is in the off season a little bit, right? You find your guys, and you've been on Kraft for a while. We like Kraft. I've been on a Dunze for a while. I like Dunze. I think he's going to be their wide receiver one. Now, obviously, there's the other guys came on late, but broken record again. Like if you look at weeks 1 through 8, everything was running through Rome Dunze. He got a little banged up to start the season, and then was a little banged up from 8, and that's when Loveland and kind of Burden came in and started doing their thing. And they're certainly all going to be a part of this ecosystem moving forward. But I think it's a very healthy ecosystem. It's an ecosystem I want to be bought into. And Rome Dunze operates differently than those two guys and does different things for them. And I think he is their quote unquote wide receiver one from the aspect of traditional, what your wide receiver one would do for you as an NFL team, right? And that's what Rome Dunze can do and is going to do. And if you look at all the metrics through 1 through 8, like target share, TD receiving share, efficiencies and just volume, everything was going Rome's way. And I think, the other guys got the beneficiary or the benefits of Caleb and Ben's system getting through the first part of the season and learning it and getting better and getting more and more dialed in. And I think in the beginning, it was spamming Rome when we're still trying to figure things out. So I think once we come into this thing with a whole other season, whole other off season under our belt, I think Rome Dunze is still an excellent click with somebody who, will the other guys maybe hold him down from getting up to somebody like things that we see Nico Collins do or consistently when he's healthy and that system's healthy? Maybe not necessarily, but I think the threshold for points, first downs, drives kept alive are higher over there in Chicago. So I think more opportunity potentially. So Rome Dunze, 507, my favorite click in the 5th.
I love Luther's price point, maybe just slightly out of control, just a little bit, maybe potentially possibly. I think that it's going to go there. The world where he's just allowed to generate as much yak as humanly possible. And they 2021 Darnell Mooney him to 130 targets, just throwing him just junk near the line of scrimmage and letting him create as one of the best after the catch receivers, if not, I won't say the best, but he's top 5 and he ain't 5 in terms of yak after the catch. So, but this price point, the certainty with which that you can move with some of these players and you're betting on the catch with Luther Burden is just, I might be out on the price point. Whereas with Rome, it's the same round. You have a little bit more proof of concept. Just you got 8 weeks of data and it's elite. So I really like that there. I wanted to go, mine is Cam Ward. I just think it's going up and up and up and up. And he could ascend to where, he gives us a season like second year Brock Purdy. He's in the 3rd round easily next year. So I love the 5th round. Traditionally, I've been kind of like out on what the middling, like what you're getting there, bang for your buck wise. But I absolutely love almost every pick in this round outside of.
Yeah. And real quick, going back to Rome, like it was kind of like I was talking about with the bell cows in the 4th there. They starts to dry up or they're older or a little less proven with the Brees and Kenny. Rome Dunze is kind of the same thing. I see him kind of as like one of the last bastions of ones that you can get. You could get Brian Thomas or an older AJ Brown or Zay Flowers, which I like all those guys. But Rome just seems like with everything that they have going on and just prototypical one, seems like he's kind of one of the last guys that kind of fits that mold once you're in that range, which is another reason why I like the click. So Jeremiah, did you have one to add before we move to the 6th?
Yeah, for me, it's a youthful running back who I think can be a bell cow running back. That's Quinshon Judkins at 505. Been trying to cash out. I've been using the roster review that we have, and it suggested to me, hey, you want to trade away Saquon Barkley. I put in our beautiful trade database calculator, and he and Judkins are very even. They're a couple spots away. I'm trying to buy into some Quinshon Judkins, and I got rejected. better track record with Saquon Barkley, more wear and tear. People are buying into it, and they're not giving it. I sent out a 27-1, and I'm just trying to push pressure points. It's not like that's a dead, automatic accept,
Right.
but pressing those pain points, it's taken more to get Quishon Judkins. People are on him, and he's youthful. And year 2, we're going back to the prospect profile. So he's a click I love.
Yeah, I like that. I think people have kind of soured a little. We need to sweeten. I just watched that Seinfeld episode. So, Jeremiah, hit us with your 6th round must draft favorite click in the 6th round here.
Hey, when you watch our breakouts, you're going to understand too. This is some overlap with Tyler Shuck. It's Tyler Shuck, round 605. And he's just there behind Baker Mayfield, just ahead of Jared Goff. I think he can go much higher. I have him as QB 14 in the ranks. Right now, his QB 19. So I would even have him up another round higher. I'd put him, I think he should go at least by Cam Ward, who's going at 509. So that's how strong I feel. I'm bullish on Ward, but I'm bullish on Shuck for similar reasons because of the investment in the offense. You have Chris Olave, borderline wide receiver 1 in Dynasty. Jordan Tyson's come in. Bryce Lance, sneaky play. Then, of course, you have the 2 tight ends. Half of the games, 5 out of 10, QB1. Extrapolate the numbers. He was on pace, 238 passing yards per game for a 4,000-yard passing season. But we like the rushing upside. I think we can get 300 to 350 yards rushing. So I'm all about some Tyler Shuck in round 6. And then talking about builds, if you want to anchor a quarterback, like you had said, Casey, you love Lamar or Caleb Williams in round 1. Well, I've seen how you do an anchor, and you'll get a Justin Jefferson, you'll get a bell cow running back, you'll go 1, 2, 3, you'll split it, and then you're able to sandwich it essentially with another quarterback like Tyler Shuck. That's just a solid build right there. So you can really stuff your team at the positional players. And then, hey, chef's kiss for Tyler Shuck as your QB2. Sign me up. Some people, you want to be aggressive, QB3, but it's a good way to scaffold your team when you have Shuck there, right there in round 6.
Yeah. Chev, did you have a 6th round favorite must draft click player, whatever you want to say?
Well, as the click commander here, I'd have to admit defeat on a player that I was out on in 2025. But hey, situations change, players don't. So Zay Flowers now walks into his first really featured role last year and starts to thrive, finishes as the wide receiver 7. And I think he could take another step forward this year. And it's bag season for Zay Flowers. So healthy Lamar with Declan Doyle, who spent some time with Sean Payton, but is primarily known for his time with Ben Johnson. If he's able to unlock and feature Zay Flowers in the way in which just more of a target ceiling than what we saw in 2025, I think that we could get a top 5 aggregate performance with him being a top 7 or 8 in points per game wide receiver. He could push into that 17 points a game tier. And there's nothing to suggest that he can't. I mean, he's awesome at football. He's awesome after the catch. He's almost impossible to cover. So you have now all of the bullish signal that you need to be, I'm really, really aggressively looking at Zay Flowers as like in the 5th round. So if he slides to the 6th, that's just bonus for me. So I love Zay Flowers as, in the 6th.
Yeah. Big Zay fan and pod over here. We've been loving him for a long time. Devonta Smith obviously has been somebody who I love clicking end of 6, kind of early 7 if I can get him. But as you mentioned, Jeremiah, kind of that sandwich. And Baker Mayfield's been a guy in the 6th round who I just find myself clicking a lot. What is good, guys? If you are a nicotine pouch guy or gal, who's your go-to? Is it Zyn? Is it Rogue? I don't think so, pal. When I need a little giddy up, I pop in a Lucy. What's a Lucy? Glad you asked. It's a premium 100% tobacco-free nicotine pouch made for true pouch connoisseurs. Lucy pouches and Lucy breakers, right here, deliver a long-lasting flavor for a seriously satisfying pouch experience. Now, I'm pretty much a mint guy across the board, as you can see from the examples that I held up there. And my day-to-day is the traditional Lucy pouch, this fella right here. But the breakers, they come out when I want to feel, kind of sexy, if you will, right? These bad boys right here. The breakers, they make it feel like you're about to have a fancy night out where I'm going to throw inhibition to the wind and let the night just have its way with me. For me, they're not the standard, but it's the enhancement. Now, I like to break it with my back teeth. What's your preferred method? Let me know. Lucy pouches have many different strengths, from 4 milligram all the way up to 12 milligram, and have a unique shape that feels great. Lucy is the only pouch that delivers a long-last, on-demand flavor. You can get 20% off with your first order when you buy online at lucy.co with promo code HMA. And if you don't want to wait, check out their store locator and find a Lucy near you and grab it today. Now, here comes the fine print. Lucy products are for adults of legal age, and every customer is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. I like the idea of Shuck, and I don't mind clicking him there, but I know I'm not messing it up with Baker Mayfield. There's no doubt. I can get one hammer, and then I can come back here and sandwich it with another guy like Baker. Look, 3 years in Tampa, and we're at QB 11, QB 4, and QB 12, not outside the a QB 1 performance. Bunch of different coordinators. Now he gets one more. Last year, 2 years ago, we thought it would be hard to repeat the QB 4 performance, right? Because he was on his ish. But he came back in 25 on his ish and then got hurt, and obviously clearly it affected the whole team and but you look through those first 6 games, it was right back to a lot of green boxes of being in the higher end of quarterbacks as far as points per game, 22, 19, 17, 18, 24, 19 for Baker Mayfield to start the season, right? And that's what we've come to kind of expect of him. I feel like it's a very safe pick if you're not quarterback centric and heavy already. He bails you out, and you can just put him on there, and I know what I'm getting. Like, Goff's also there, but like you just feel a little bit better about like what the gunslinger mentality of Baker is, rather than kind of what and maybe Goff with Petzing will kind of rise back to where closer to the Ben Johnson level Goff. But you just I feel a little bit better about Baker as my QB2.
Guys, Jared Goff threw for 4,500 yards and 34 touchdowns last year.
For sure.
For sure. We gotta put some respect on Jared Goff now.
No, you're right. I guess a better way to put that is I like potentially what the upside with the gunslinger mentality of Baker is. I think Goff is the same answer as Baker there. So I think I phrased that wrong. You are completely correct.
Okay.
Chef.
Okay. I was like, hey, before we put this out there, we got to talk about.
No, you're right. You're right.
So I mean, I'm still buying into Goff just because the ecosystem is so good, but I have no fault with anyone that's there's a floor with Baker Mayfield where you get the 250 to 320 yards rushing. If he has an outlier touchdown season where he spikes another 5 touchdowns, I think it was in 2024 with the 4,541 passing, the ceiling is for sure higher. Goff's not going to unless it's like an outlier season where Sam Laporta comes back and he just dominates in the red zone. We're not getting 40 touchdowns from Jared Goff. 34 to 37 is probably the most that you're going to get. Yeah. And you're getting nothing from a rushing perspective. Yeah. So I think I just wanted to make sure. I was like,
no, you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
Goff it's aggressive.
We've been on safe Goff. Just keep picking Goff, forever. And him also like a Dak Prescott, which he was down here and now he's floated back up a little bit. He's also somebody who, if I need my first quarterback in the 4th or 5th round, I'll take Dak for sure. Yes. But But yes, that was a good catch, good call. I mean, golf's been a top 10 QB pretty much every year for the last 4 or 5 years. So,
yes.
Yeah, you are correct. All right, let's go to the 7th round here. Who are your favorite clicks must draft players in the 7th round, Chev?
Well, at first I thought Jeremiah was going to talk about the Anglo-Saxon Assassin here, CTE Scat Pack. That's the one that I'm the most excited about. But I'll again go back to the well with Jameson Williams. Now, we just talked about Jared Goff. With Drew Petzing last year, once they benched Kyler Murray, they were one of the most efficient vertical attacks in the league with Michael Wilson, who we were fully unlocked by garbage time or whatever that is.
Oh, but don't do it.
Listen. Just listen. Everybody's out on J-Mo. Everybody's out on J-Mo. All right, we got what we wanted. We got top 12 wide receiver J-Mo, and then it was efficient. We didn't even have to increase the volume. We just Dan Campbell decided that he needed the football, and he was right.
He was.
We got a top 12 wide receiver season from J-Mo. I want you to tell me, like, what could happen just if for some odd reason, the targets go from 100, 102, which is where I think he was, which is right 6 targets a game. What if that goes to like 115, 120? Like, if we can get 120 targets for J-Mo, he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver. He's really good at scoring touchdowns. He scored 7 touchdowns the last 2 years. And like he's one of the best deep threats in the game. He's a threat to score from anywhere.
Yes.
And now we have Petzing, which was bullish signal for Sam Laporta. We absolutely love Sam Laporta. Absolutely love Sam Laporta. We've been talking about it. Big Co's kind of out because of his back a little bit, but we went and saw the bacchiotomy, man. It's going to be all good. It's good. He went to Jobu. It's all good now. So he dominates in the red zone, but J-Mo generates explosives. And if that just goes to 7 targets a game, then we're talking an incremental change that really, really lifts our ceiling even higher. So yes, I'm going back to the well with J-Mo. I think Petzing, at first I was down. You remember we talked about this a little bit. I was down because I was like, I don't know about Petzing, but it can be great for Sam Laporta. We can go back to him. He's one of the best red zone weapons in the entire NFL. And it could still be really good for J-Mo without much having to actually change in terms of his volume.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's probably a good call. I don't think long-term value-wise, I think it's pretty safe. I think even if it doesn't equate to the big crazy startability for this year, he's a great player. And like you said, if we just kill the BS from the beginning of the season where there was games where you would see 1, 2, 3 targets, and we consistently have 6 through the season instead of getting spammed halfway through the season, then I think you're good here either way, right? I mean, it's either going to be fine and kind of pay off at 7, or even gangbusters and it should have been a 5th, right? So I'm with you. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
Well, when Jameson Williams goes off, you're sitting there like, I'm going to fucking win this week. Yeah. And that's a beautiful feeling, because price point where you're getting him, he's at wide receiver 2, maybe 3. He's your flex. He's not your bona fide 1, but price point is just telling us at the 7-2, there's that anchor of how many times fantasy gamers have had Jameson Williams flip-flopped on their bench or not, because really what you have to do is you have to commit to just starting him. That's how you win the war value. Otherwise, you're going to have him go off and it'll be frustrating because he'll be on your bench. But the amount of times you've been burned or people have been burned, and this goes into the price point, which makes him this value in round 7, by these 6-point outings versus the 24 to 30 that are out there. That's why right now, to everything that Chev said for bullish, that's why the price point is here. So that is a good idea to make sure you take advantage, because a lot of psychological sentiment, user experience, customer satisfaction goes into people I'm not clicking on Jameson Williams because I'm not trying to have a 6-point week. and be flustered.
Right.
So you can take advantage of that.
Absolutely. And 7th round's interesting because you do have the Anglo-Saxon assassin in Cam Scatabo. You have a Javonte Williams. Josh Jacobs is in here in this ADP. He's going to be dropped probably the 8th or 9th round, kind of next ADP round, I think. And then you have Travis Etienne and Jadarian Price. So there's a nice handful of like interesting running backs in here. Certainly can help you out of a jam in those spots. But I like the rookies in this round. I like Lemon and Concepcion in the 7th round as some clicks that I don't mind taking.
Great call.
Jeremiah, you want to get us into this, or do you have a 7th rounder that you like?
Well, on the short, it would be Scat Pack, just because if he's healthy, we're generating. He's a running back, all things equal, health. He should be up there with Quinshon Judkins, so I like another round or two up there. So Scat Pack is down just a little bit. Take advantage there and click on him. So love that. And then my 8th round player is Christian Watson, another player who I expect to break out. 8-11, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Goes back to a lot of what Chev said about the narrow target tree in the Packers offense. When I hear 22% to 23%, I see that opportunity as well for Christian Watson, just like Tucker Kraft. But you can get this in a wide receiver form. In round 8, bordering on round 9, is Christian Watson. Going, 5 seasons in the league, you have age 27. It's just a wear and tear. This will be his 5th season. It's just a wear and tear of all these hamstring injuries, the ACL, missing 26 regular season games out of 65, just not being available. And you can get him. The beauty is scaffolding in picks. You can double tap quarterback in those first 2 rounds, go heavy at running back 3-4 before the bell cows kind of dry up, right? And then you're sitting there with the opportunity in round 8 to go and get somebody like Christian Watson as your, to me, he's a firewall wide receiver 2 on your team. So if you believe in that breakout, you can push the wide receiver position down and go off at the tight end premium in round 5. Maybe you take advantage of clicking Tucker Kraft as well. Why not come away with Tucker Kraft and Christian Watson? You spoke, Casey, to go get Green Bay Packers. Those will be the top 2 on my list. 2 wide receiver sets, Christian Watson, and I'm banking on health. I'm going to play, not scared, and then optimistic. And then Tucker Kraft. Why not have that narrow target tree, what I believe in, will happen for the Packers and be the beneficiary.
Yeah, I like it. All right, jumping into the 8th round here. You liked who'd you just go with? Christian Watson at 8-11. I probably like the bookends in this round. I like 8-01 and 8-12. I like 8-01 Oronde Gadsden, especially if I haven't had a tight end, or if I could even take a second one at that point. Usually likely might be my target of the second one, but I don't mind taking Oronde Gadsden. Look, I what's about to happen with this offense? I think any way it goes, I think there is a really big chance that he ends up being the biggest mismatch for this offense and gets just heavily targeted. You can make up any scenario that you want about what tight ends there and what tight ends not there. Like, he gives them something different than the other tight ends. And maybe they do hold him back just a little bit, but at the 8th round right now, from where he's going to be projected and more, like we saw the runoff in certain parts of last year and how much that elevated his value at parts last year. Now it's settled down a little bit, and we're going to see that again. And I think we'll see, like, even if we do get kind of leveled out a little bit because of Njoku or Ladd or Quentin Johnston or whatever, like, this is Dynasty. Like, there's going to be enough of the things that we saw last year in this year. There'll probably be a little bit more consistency. Maybe we don't see as much crazy ceiling, or maybe we do. Maybe it's just like, goddamn, this is the Ladd and Oronde Gadsden show, man. Like, but I have no problem clicking it in the 8th round because I don't see I don't see any depreciation of this asset really. And it feels like there's a lot of insulation, and I'm fine with it. You paint whatever picture you want. Like, he's tied to Herbert. I don't know how long McDaniels will be there. So, that's a little bit of a bummer, but I would assume 2 years, but it could be 1. And if it's 2, great. And then the other end is Swift. Just, hey, if you need an RB2 and you're getting this late in the draft, like, they didn't really add anybody outside of Losing the center was probably the biggest bummer for Chicago as far as like what went down in the offseason. But it's him and Monungai again. Like, look, you're probably looking at another 1,000 yards, another 50, 60 targets heading his way in an offense. It's just like, hey, while long term maybe it's not the best thing ever, but like he's not going to die after this year either. So as DeAndre Swift. So those would kind of be my two favorites in the 8th. Chev, who do you got?
In the 8th, I love everything that Jeremiah said. I'm contractually obligated to praise Rondé Gadsden at any time that we have an opportunity to talk about Rondé Gadsden on the show. I'm absolutely going to jump all over that. So I was in lockstep with you. It's really difficult for me to click on some of the receivers here between Alec Pierce and DJ Moore.
Yeah,
I would much prefer Alec Pierce, but that's kind of that's a tricky spot for me because Alec Pierce does offer that Jameson Williams style blow up week upside, and now he's got the bag. So you wonder where he falls in that pecking order, and if Daniel Jones is healthy, which he's been cleared to throw in 7-on-7 to participate in 7-on-7 now. So we're getting another step in the process of getting Daniel Jones back to full value of what he was early in the season in 2025. Like this could be, that could be a misprice the way that we believe Jameson Williams is mispriced, but it's tough for me to click that button right now. So I'll just stick with Rondé Gadsden and how much we saw the worst version of the Chargers offense to close out the year in 2025. Their offensive line was absolutely putrid. So Justin Herbert was under siege, and that led to him fading away, and people whose priors were there's never been a good 5th-round tight end other than George Kittle in the history of fantasy football had to eat crow, but then they felt like they were back, and now we get to profit off of the doubt that they have created. There's no way in the world that I believe that he should be going behind Kenyon Sadiq. I feel like he could be in the range, like just maybe, early, mid-7th, mid to early 7th is where I could see him going right now. I think Mekhi Lemon ascends too now with the A.J. Brown news. So, yeah, I'm with you. Rondé Gadsden is where I want to butter my bread in the 8th round as the click commander.
I like the Daniel Jones call too. Like if you need your second and you're really hurting at that point, he can come in and hopefully stabilize that a little bit. Or if he's a great third at that point there. If she was quote hurting for a squirtin', did you say that?
Yeah.
I've never seen this man in my life. All right, let's do the 9th and 10th round so we can get through it, and we'll just kind of lightning round through it. Is there a 9th rounder that stands out to you, Jeremiah?
Yes. Bing, ding, 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 ding. I'm going to say it before, Chev. It is going to be 9-11 Parker Washington. He's about to get the bag. Yeah, yes. He's about to get the bag. And all offseason, James Gladstone, the GM, speak. He's part of the plans. Parker Washington. We saw on display what happened. If you experience that free waiver wire pickup in your redraft leagues, if you've had them cheaply in Dynasty, you absolutely know what we're talking about. So this is a player who, my God, he could be 3-4 rounds higher, especially this time next year. You could almost justify that he should be, 2 round. Like why shouldn't Parker Washington be above DJ Lesk? Why shouldn't he be above Alex?
It's DJ Moore, in case you're wondering.
Oh yeah, for some people, yeah, but that's not funny. Don't joke. It's not funny to joke. But then Alec Pierce too. You talk about target volume. Parker Washington's going to clear him in target volume. So I think this is a player who should be at least a round up higher. And look, I love Casey Concepcion. Casey goes 7-10. Casey in year 1 versus Parker Washington. Why shouldn't Parker Washington be neck and neck right there with Casey Concepcion? So yeah, to answer your question, because you were asking me, 9-11. Parker
I think
Washington.
it's less potential clarity in pecking order if Parker Washington is for the Concepcion and the
Wait,
Washington.
do you think there isn't clarity? Because what is Travis Hunter gonna?
Well, that's I just that it's really if BTJ comes in and does what he does, then I feel like because I Myers is going to have some sort of a role, and play spoiler at points. He's the professional in the room. If they're committed to Parker Washington, like it seems like they are, then you're absolutely correct. I think that's just there's some murkiness is why he's being held down, but that makes it a good pick. Chev, how about you in the 9th round here? Is there, and then we'll get out of here on the 10th.
Hard. It's been a hard and tumultuous fall for Jordan Addison. But the 9th round, it's cheap enough where I can buy it. It doesn't hurt so much anymore.
Yeah.
And you could by this point, you have a clear direction on your team, but this is a screaming value. At least the Vikings out. I mean, when he's had solid quarterback play, he's, last year, I believe in 2024, he was 14 points a game. Now the bottom fell out last year and we got all the bad outcomes, but he's still displayed. He's still explosive. It's kind of like, Casey, when I asked you last year, I was like, people think Chris Olave is not good. Like, that's what you really believe, that you believe Chris Olave is not good at football anymore. There's no way I don't believe that Jordan Addison is good at football. I just didn't like the situation. And if we see that JJ McCarthy absolutely ruined and tanked, Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. So what did you think was going to happen with Jordan Addison? And he had the most chemistry with Jordan Addison. So the 9th round here is egregious because he's clearly at least a part of the plan for the team for at least the next 2 years. They exercise his 5th-year option. So if they figure out this quarterback thing, be it Kyler or if JJ McCarthy is actually, not a fraud, then you're good. If not, then you just have to suffer through 1 year of mediocrity, hopefully, and then they draft someone in 2027, and now you've got contract year Jordan Addison or second contract Jordan Addison with a QB that can actually deliver the ball. And now, we're cooking with grease. So yeah, Jordan Addison would be the guy here.
Yeah, in the 9th round, I think that's I haven't done a whole lot of clicking on him as the click sergeant. But he's perennially should be one of the better Bs or 2s or Batmans or Robins rather in the game. He's got to obviously stay out of some trouble here, but like to be able to get that in the 9th round is probably like he's somebody who should be what Devonta Smith has been for the Eagles, for the Vikings.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
He's got something like that. So, all right, moving on to the 10th round here. This is a round I like a decent amount. There's some good tight ends here. I like Likely at 10:04. I like Stowers at 10:05. I like Wan'Dale Robinson at 10:01. I like Jaden Higgins at 10:08, and I like Matthew Golden at 10:12. I know nobody likes him, but this is a round I really, really like a lot of the players that you can get, and Dalton Kincaid, George Kittle, if you're want to take a little bit of a risk. But geez, dude, like that he could be elite. How many times has George Kittle been a league winner? Yeah. So this is a great round. I really, really like the 10th round. All right, 1-word answers of the players that you guys like here. Who do you like?
Talking to me?
Yep.
Oh, Isaiah Likely.
Jeremiah?
All right, member of the olds, Mike Evans. Member of the youths, Jaden Higgins.
That was more than 1 word.
Yeah, you cheater.
Sorry. Well, here's 1 word. Sorry.
Not sorry. All right. We're going to wrap this up. We got Chev, Jeremiah, FF Dynasty, Fantasy Power Thruple, whatever you want to say. Hit us in the comments where your favorite clicks are and who is the real click commander. We'll see you next time. Peace.